Hey there, Rednecks, Preppies, Redneck Preppies. It's me, the Redneck Preppy. How you doing today? Great. Good. Just a friendly reminder that the Redneck Preppy can also be found on Rumble and Odyssey. Links are in the description below. A viewer sent me an email asking about something that he had seen recently and wanted to know a little more about. He had heard that of all things, the Thompson submachine gun was in use in the ongoing Russian-Ukrainian war, and was curious as to how that came to be. I figured it'd make for an interesting video. Now, in one case, the one that he was personally aware of, the Donetsk People's Army reportedly found a cache of Soviet-era Thompson submachine guns complete with ammunition. Now, although they are receiving military aid from Russia, the Donetsk People's Republic isn't exactly flush with modern weaponry and are basically making use of anything that they can get their hands on. Over in Luhansk, reserve forces were apparently actually sent Thompsons, among others Second World War arms, by the Russian government. As you can see from these pictures, whether it's using a Mosin Nagant M9130 or an MP40, soldiers with the DPA will make use with what they have. Now, in the case of the Thompson submachine guns being used in Donetsk and Luhansk, they are apparently only in second-line use, probably for a number of reasons, most likely due to the difficulty of obtaining further ammunition and spare parts for the firearms. But where did they come from? Surely the Soviet Union wasn't manufacturing Thompsons during the Second World War? If you're a student of that war, you're undoubtedly aware that U.S. Lend-Lease wasn't confined to assisting countries like Britain. The U.S. also sent tons of material to the Soviet Union starting in 1942 to help them in defending against the invasion by Germany. Now, when it comes to U.S. Lend-Lease to the Soviets, we typically think of the tanks like the M4 Sherman, which, along other models, were sent. Accompanying those tanks were also small arms that were generally issued to their tank crews, which included Thompsons. But that, of course, wouldn't have been comparatively many and would have disappeared in history's sands fairly quickly. Perhaps not even enough survivors to arm some second-line soldiers today. Well, the Americans had also sent another 137,729 Thompsons, which were largely made up of the M1928A1 model Thompsons. Now, what a lot of people aren't aware of is that the Thompson didn't make its debut in the Soviet Union as a part of Lend-Lease. The Soviets themselves had actually imported some back in 1924. Using frontmen in Mexico, they acquired a few hundred M1921 model Thompsons and issued them to a comparatively select number of units, including Special Operations Forces belonging to the OGPU, State Security Service, a forerunner of the KGB, who were busy fighting bandits in the Caucasus. The picture that you're seeing now is of a display board of a disassembled M1921 so that soldiers could familiarize themselves with the internals of the Thompson. Interestingly, declassified documents after the fall of the Soviet Union revealed that to be even issued an M1921 Thompson, one had to be a member of a unit like the Border Patrol, they had to be an experienced soldier, and perhaps most importantly, a member of the Communist Party. They also sent some to Estonian communists who used them as part of what would be a failed uprising against the government there in December 1924. The Thompsons, sent as a part of Lend-Lease, however, ended up not seeing much war use for a few reasons. The first, and perhaps most obvious, was that the Thompson fires a round capable of rending space and time, the 45 ACP. The submachine guns that the Soviets were using in the millions, such as the PPSH-41, were chambered in 7.62 by 25 millimeter. Not only did the Soviets not have the desire to produce 45 ACP for those Thompsons, it would have made much sense for them anyway due to the relatively small number they had. Now, I have read that the Soviets received over 300 million rounds for those Thompsons. That sounds like a lot, but it only breaks out to about 2,200 rounds per Thompson. Now, another reason for their lack of use by the Soviets was that it turned out they didn't function very well in the lovely winter weather that Mother Russia is known for. Soviet soldiers reported that extraction could become unreliable in frigid temperatures. They were also keen on its weight compared to the PPSH-41, both in terms of the Thompson itself and its ammunition. Now, remarkably, for those who believe that 45 ACP can actually knock out tanks, the Soviets also found that the Thompson didn't have the penetrating power that the PPSH-41 did. The 7.62 by 25 millimeter round could penetrate up to 10 1-inch pine wood blocks, while the 45 ACP only managed 5. And so the Thompsons were eventually mostly relegated to second-line duty, think drivers, in the Red Army to free up any PPSH-41s to go to the front. And once there are enough of those submachine guns, they also replaced the Tommy guns in the rear. The Soviets crated up those Thompsons, and as they did with much military surplus at the end of the Second World War, stuck them in warehouses just in case. Now, incidentally, some of these Thompsons were also used against the Soviets themselves. The Lithuanian Freedom Army, also known as the Forest Brothers, fought a guerrilla war against the Soviet Union from 1944 to 53 and did make use of captured Thompsons. You could also find them in the hands of the Ukrainian Insurgent Army, a paramilitary group that fought, well, everyone in World War II, to establish a Ukrainian state. Now, I am told that some of these Thompsons did eventually come back to the US, imported by the usual suspects that do that sort of thing, and in often unissued condition. But an unknown number did remain in various parts of Russia and its former satellite states. Obviously, because soldiers in Donetsk and Luhansk are carrying them today. So submachine guns that were made nearly a century ago in places like Buffalo and Bridgeport, sent by the United States to the Soviet Union to battle German invaders, ended up laying sleeping for many decades, are now being carried by pro-Russian soldiers fighting Ukrainians. I have a feeling that workers at Savage and Auto Ordnance, among other companies, didn't think that their handiwork would still be playing a role in another millennium. And so that is why we're seeing some limited use of the M1928A1 Thompson submachine gun in the Russian-Ukrainian war in 2024. At any rate, I hope you found today's video to at least be vaguely entertaining and mildly informative. As always, I hope you have yourself a fantastic day. Take care, and bye-bye.